Greetings from Fixture Lab. A while back we did a virtual tour of the hub in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it was a big success because there are still people frequently that contact us that say that that video was very helpful. What we did there was we talked about the whole process of building out a store, what we did, what our client did, and how it looked at the end. So let's do that again with Good Turn Electric Cycles in Denver. In the beginning of this process, Good Turn called us and said, we have this super interesting space, kind of industrial, right on the edge of downtown, right near the bike path that goes all along the Platte River. It's a very interesting opportunity. We can get a good deal on this space, but it's got some weird aspects to it that we need to figure out how to work around and how to embrace maybe so that the design of the shop feels quite natural in here. So this is Adam, he's our client. He called us and he met us at the building, and these are photos from the very first visit inside the space. So you can see it's got some good bones, like the brick is cool, and there's these aspects over here where there was some reclaimed wood already in the space, and one of the most unique things was this ramp, because actually you don't enter the space mostly from the side that we're coming at, you come in from the door that's at the top of that ramp. So working through going in a front door, coming down a ramp immediately is kind of interesting. Then we look around the space, there's a big beam in the middle, there's some existing lighting, there's HVAC in there, wires on the walls, but pretty much the floor is an open slate. So we're looking at all of the details about what's going on up above to figure out what we need to tie into if we want to do anything up there. Here's a hot tip. If you walk into a prospective new space and it has lights in it, don't assume that you can just use those lights and those are going to be good for the new store. Sometimes codes have changed, and if you do a permit, you can't even use the existing lights that are in that space. We've run into that before. And also don't assume that what's there is the right kind of light or the right style of light for what you need to do or in the right locations. So just be careful about lighting when you look at a space like this. Okay, I'm going to take you through the 3D model that we built of the space and how we would design it, and then I'll show you finished photos. And then you can see how darn similar the finished store is to the way that we planned it. This view here is of their, I'm doing air quotes, front door. When you get in the front door, you're gonna have to go down that ramp. So we're gonna figure out a good way to deal with that. But also, there's this wall here that really faces you as you come in the door. And we thought, gosh, that's a great spot. We can't really merchandise on it because it's a ramp, but we can put communication up there. Let's talk about the company's mission and the brand there with some great graphics. By the way, Good Turn Cycles, you should look it up. It's a really cool organization. It's a nonprofit bike shop, and they do all kinds of good for the community. Check them out. It's a really, really cool model. Okay, so we thought this is a great spot to communicate right as you walk in the front door. Oh, by the way, Selena Gomez and other stars of one form or another show up a lot in our models. They like hanging out in our stores a lot, so we just always build them in to create some realism. Okay, as you get halfway down the ramp here, there are things like we can start to merchandise on the backside of these fixtures that we designed in. And then there's a map of riding Denver, because this is a very central little bike shop to all of the great street and path riding through Denver. You can start to see the lighting that we planned into the space. Trying to leave things like the brick wall, don't want to paint or cover those things because it adds a lot of really cool character. And then you can see how we're starting to embrace that big column that's in the middle of the store. We make fixtures to hold up bikes, so adapting those to work with that column is a piece of cake. We planned in a ring essentially of track head lights to augment what was going on in the store, those lights that you already saw in the previous photo. Those lights that were in there, they raise the ambient light level inside the store, which is great, but they don't really highlight products, and one of the biggest things that most stores could do to help themselves is to light their products better. So we always plan in spotlights, track heads that you can aim around, and they really augment the lighting inside that store. Okay, it's a small store, but we still needed to create a service department, an area that does service. We need to create a cash wrap. We need to delineate those areas, but they're all going to be out in sight because Adam didn't want to build a bunch of walls inside this very small space. So what we suggested was creating these structures. These are steel, some expanded steel up there you'll see in the photos. Working with some counters below that he already had plans for using, but we wanted to treat them in a way that kind of was cohesive for the rest of the design of the store. And then over here, so fun, we thought you need a back room. We don't want to build walls. Let's move, we've got a garage door. Let's move in a real shipping container and use that as our back room. And let's use it as a backdrop for the cash wrap. Pretty cool, right? So I'll show you more about that in a second. We also planned a little bit more storage above that, and we put that behind some more steel. So you can see the theme there, because it was already built into the space. There's lots of steel and very raw kind of elements, and then the shipping container just feels completely at home inside that space. Pretty cool, right? Now with that, you've pretty much seen the whole store. So let's move from this to in process, to what we're doing in the middle of the process. Once we've got a design like this, what do we do then? One big way that we get involved in most every store is by helping to plan out the things that need to be built inside the space. I mean, certainly walls that need to be put up and dressing rooms that need to be built and things like that. Those are a slam dunk. But there's also other things. There's like counters, there's cabinets, there's displays, there's things like that. And we get very involved. In this case, Adam had some cabinets that he had already ordered that he felt like he wanted to turn into some counters for his service department and for his cash wrap. Basically, he just wanted to take the steel cabinets that he had already ordered, put a tabletop on them, and create very simple counters that way. So we helped to plan out exactly, using the items that he had on hand, how we're going to do that. And then we planned also how we're going to treat those, the expanded metal and the steel around the outside of that, so that it feels like it's part of the rest of the store and not like you just grabbed a bunch of cabinets and tossed them on the showroom floor. So these are the actual plans that we used for the steel fabricator to begin the process of wrapping those counters. Then we also designed things like that feature that was over the service department. This shows the dimensions of that and how it needs to be built with lots of good details. There was also these headers, the headers over the fixtures that you saw at the bottom of the ramp there. We wanted to build that. So this is the kind of stuff that we're doing while the construction's happening. And we've got some other really fun things that I want to tell you about now too. Because we had the container planned in the space, Adam hunted around and found a shipping container that they could afford and had it delivered to the parking lot. This was super fun. We had to get a forklift, that's me driving the forklift with the container there, and figure out how to get it from the parking lot down the street and in the side of the space the long way and into that position right there. This is the only photo we have of it in process. This is us moving it with some big dollies into place. Very strong helpers there. That's me cutting a hole in the side to reveal the wires behind that are on that wall. This is me and Alex from Fixture Lab putting up the surround that goes around the service area. It was a tricky one because it's a big floppy kind of structure. Still a few hundred pounds, but it's a floppy structure, so you need to support it from all kinds of spots along the ceiling there. And here we have a finished store. Looks great, right? Such a nice, simple little space. And the team at Good Turn's done a really, really good job of keeping it up, keeping things merchandised nicely, making it very clean and organized and not laying things around. So props to them. Great job there. All right, so we're walking in the front door here. You can see the graphics on the wall that I was referring to. You can see the map over here that we planned. These are our fixtures. They're not really attached to anything. They freestand on the floor, and then we built these steel headers for them to kind of continue the design theme from around the store. This is the finished steel surround over the top of the service department. You can see the lights that existed in the space. You can also see the spotlights that we brought in. This is kind of confusing the way I did this. This is two different views of the same column, so that's two photos there. We built in the fixtures to hold up the bikes, and it works great. These are all electric bikes, so they're very heavy. We know it can be a bear to get them up here, but it is super nice to use the vertical space inside the store so that it's not just a sea of bikes all on the floor. They just plan strategically to put the bikes that they're not going to have to pull down every 10 seconds up on the second level. And then this was actually Good Turn's idea, and it turned out really great. They put these rigid graphics up at the top there, and that is another way of pulling kind of the vertical aspects of the store off. Really great job there. And here's what the container looks like now that it's in the space. There you have it. There is Good Turn Cycles in Denver, Colorado. We're very excited about this store. We'd be very excited to work with you if you have a situation where you feel like you could use our help. So give us a call, let us know, and we'll walk you through the process. Thanks for watching. Take care.